All right, we made it to the end of the week here on the Morning Pitt on youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. I feel like I always say that. Oh, we made it to the end of the week, but that's how it feels. And we did make it to the end of the week, whether that means the end of your work week here today on Friday, or just the fact that you're looking forward to the Pitt game tomorrow. Either way, it is Friday, and this is the Morning Pitt. Remember, youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. It's our home for all of our video content, our daily Morning Pitt videos, our live streams that we do every Wednesday night at 8:30. Post-game press conference videos, midweek press conference videos, all kinds of stuff right here at youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. You don't want to miss any of it, so make sure you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like buttons down there, subscribe buttons down here. Click them both. I would really appreciate it. We got past that 3,000 subscriber mark. Pretty excited about that. Still have like 40% of the people watching these videos not subscribed. So if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, do me a solid. Hit the button. We really appreciate it. You get my heartfelt thanks to everyone who does it. So I appreciate you for doing that. We got a lot to talk about here, without a doubt. As we get to the end of the week, I feel like there's always a lot to recap from the week, but it's hard. I mean, it's hard not to look ahead to tomorrow with Pitt regular season home finale, I should say, against Syracuse at the Peterson Event Center, 5 o'clock tip-off for that game. And I think we're all looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun. It should be a great game. It should be a great atmosphere and a great environment in the Peterson Event Center. I don't know what the game is going to be. There's a part of me that feels like this is a good game for Pitt. That a team that plays a zone like Syracuse, a zone that Pitt can really study and practice against and prepare for. Not like Georgia Tech that's going to throw random things at you defensively throughout the game, but this zone has been the zone, right? And you know what Syracuse does, you know what their defense is, and you should be pretty well prepared to attack it. And this Pitt team, is, as I've kind of said all week, should be particularly well rostered and well personneled to attack this zone as well. With the shooting from outside, with guys like Greg Elliott, Blake Hinson, Nelly Cummings, and Nike Sabandi, with the guys who can make shots inside the arc, who can set up shop at the free throw line and make jump shots, mid-range jump shots. You can get right into the middle of the zone with somebody like, Hinson to some extent, Jamarius Burton, Nelly Cummings can make those shots. And even the Diaz-Graham twins, I think, present interesting possibilities to kind of, use their size to get the ball, to catch the ball around the free throw line, and turn around and make jump shots. And that's a great way to bust that zone wide open. If you can make those mid-range jumpers and make shots from outside, you're going to give Syracuse fits. And it's what Pitt largely did, I think, in that game, in the first game, at least for the first 27 minutes or so, before Syracuse got really aggressive defensively, started pressing and trapping and doing all these things that ultimately let the Orange get back in the game. I think Pitt is prepared for that now, or at least they should be, and they'll be ready to go against the Orange tomorrow and should get the win. This should be a game that Pitt wins. It should be win number 14 in ACC play, improve to 14-4, and there's something on the line in that game. If Pitt wins and they improve to 14-4, they will have clinched no worse than the number 5 seed in the ACC tournament. They'll have clinched a top 5 finish in the conference, which I think is a remarkable accomplishment to begin with. And what's even more fun than that is if Duke were to lose to Virginia Tech tomorrow night. I think that game's at 8 o'clock in Durham, so tall task. Virginia Tech much better at home than they are on the road. But if Duke were to lose that game and Pitt beats Syracuse, Pitt will clinch a double bye. They'll have a top 4 spot locked up and a double bye, not playing a game in the ACC tournament until Thursday. It's pretty remarkable. Meanwhile, you've got other things going on. Virginia's going to North Carolina. What time is that game? I had the schedule pulled up here specifically so I could reference it here. Virginia's at North Carolina. That's an evening tip-off for that game. I think that's the 6 o'clock game, and Virginia Tech at Duke is the 8 o'clock game. Those are really the ones to watch. Well, actually, before Pitt plays against Syracuse, Miami's going to host Florida State, one of the Hurricanes' final 2 regular season games. If Miami would happen to lose there, that's going to give Pitt a much better chance at winning. Just looking ahead at the schedule for tomorrow, the games you are watching and rooting for and you have an interest in, they only partially overlap with Pitt. Florida State at Miami, is an earlier afternoon game. You want to root for the Seminoles in that one. And then Virginia at North Carolina, you want to root for the Tar Heels. And then Virginia Tech at Duke, you want to root for the Hokies. So Florida State, North Carolina, Virginia Tech, those are the rooting interests for Pitt as they try to secure a double bye. Number one seed in the ACC tournament and potentially a regular season championship. That's all on the line, and Pitt is playing for that. At the very least, they should come out of tomorrow with a top 5 seed locked up. It would not be a surprise in the least if Virginia loses at North Carolina. The Cavaliers having lost at Boston College on Wednesday night, which came right on the heels of a couple of near misses, almost losses against Louisville and Notre Dame. Virginia's reeling right now. They've got some health issues, and they're not scoring a lot. I think they scored, 48 points on Wednesday night against Boston College? They have to be able to do better than that if they're going to have success, and I think they're going to have to be able to do better than that to beat North Carolina tomorrow. And so there's a bunch of interesting games that impact Pitt here. And I'm not even talking about in the AP poll or the net rankings or things like that. I'm talking about actual tangible impact of another team winning or losing and having an effect on Pitt's standing in the ACC. Like I said, at the very least, they should come out of tomorrow having clinched a top 5 seed, which would be a remarkable accomplishment. They would get to 21 wins. They would be 14-4. I mean, just breaking records left and right. That's really the pace they're on, the track they're on, and they should do it. Take that next step tomorrow. And we're at a point in the season now, and probably started when they clinched a winning record, but we're at a point in the season. That happened a while ago. I forget exactly which game it was, win number 16, I guess. But right now, they're at a point where almost every game is going to present an opportunity for a big sort of milestone. The win against Georgia Tech was a 20-win milestone. A win tomorrow will be clinching a top 5 seed and potentially even more than that. If they win at Notre Dame on Wednesday, that's going to move them even closer into that top 4. And then, of course, they could potentially beat Miami for the regular season championship if Virginia happens to fall, sometime between now and then and lose a 5th game. I mean, if Virginia loses a 5th game and Pitt wins out, then Pitt's the ACC regular season champion. Now, I'm by no means guaranteeing that Pitt is going to win out. I think even if they win this game tomorrow and win at Notre Dame, it's still going to be a huge challenge going to Miami and trying to win that game. But it's all on the table right now. They've got a real shot. And as I think we all keep saying, and certainly I've been saying a lot lately, it's just remarkable that they're even in the position they're in right now to look like an NCAA tournament lock, to be staring down a potential double bye and maybe, top seed in ACC regular season championship. The fact that all of these things are in play, that's really something. It is. Of course, this game at the Peterson Events Center, it's a sold-out game. Hopefully all the seats are actually full. It would be great to see a complete, a full complement of 12,508 people in the building tomorrow. I think it's going to be the best environment we've seen in a long, long time. I don't even know what the reference point would be. Probably a Duke or Carolina game, because even the West Virginia game earlier this year, it didn't draw like that. It's going to be electric. And it's going to be like the Peterson Event Center of old. And I can't wait. I can't wait to get in the building and have the noise and the raucous atmosphere. I think it's going to be great. And I think Pitt will be up to the task of answering the fans' energy with energy of their own. I think there's going to be a lot of emotion for this team. It's really remarkable. Yesterday we talked to Nellie Cummings and Blake Hinson. We talked to Jeff Capel all the time. We talked to him as well. But really talked to Nellie Cummings and Blake Hinson specifically about the seniors on this team, the chemistry on this team, and how they've meshed. And what I asked Nelly and Blake sort of the same thing, because it really is, I think it's unique how this team came together. And, you've got a bunch of guys playing together for the first time. Nellie Cummings and Greg Elliott and Blake Hinson and Federico and the Diaz-Graham twins all coming in here and playing with Jamarius Burton and Nike Sabandi, primarily, in addition to Nate Santos, playing with these guys for the first time. They've never played together. They haven't even played together for an entire calendar year yet. And to mesh as well as they have and develop the chemistry that they have, I think it's really remarkable, and I think it's really unique. They hit this just perfect balance of chemistry. And when we asked them about it, we asked Nelly Cummings and Blake Hinson, they talked about, guys just genuinely like each other. It's just a team that genuinely like each other. Nelly Cummings said it's not like fake like. They don't have to fake it. They really do like each other. They love each other. They feel like a family and brothers. And, Blake Hinson said, in addition to that, they're all sort of on the same page. They're all working for the same goal. They're on the same wavelength. And I asked Blake Hinson, I said, well, how unique is that to have everybody on the same page? Because look, the reality is for the past 4 years of Jeff Capel's time at Pitt, they haven't had everybody on the same page. And I think it's been pretty well documented, or at least well understood and well discussed, that not everybody was on the same page in the last few seasons. And so I asked Blake Hinson, how unique is that? And he said it's unique. And he said, well, actually, no, it's not unique. Because most teams in college basketball that win do have that. And I thought that was an interesting sort of qualifier. Teams that win. It is a connective thread and a tissue that runs through winning teams, that they have a group of players who genuinely are working toward the same goal. And I think every player on this team, probably for the most part, I'm sure there's somebody out there who's disgruntled, but the guys who are playing have the same goal and the same objective. And Jeff Capel said it at one point earlier this season, that they're not as concerned with the individual glory because they seem to understand that if Pitt succeeds, if Pitt gets the glory, they will get glory as a, as a byproduct. It's trickle down glory, I guess, that if Pitt is succeeding, then they also will succeed. They'll, if the team succeeds, they'll succeed individually, and they bought into it. And I think that comes through on the court. Nelly Cummings talked about how they have each other's back, how they all go to the floor for loose balls. And I think even just, to the extent of sharing the ball, how they share the ball, how they move the ball, how they will pass up a good shot to get their teammate a great shot, about how everybody's success is celebrated, They really do cheer for each other. They really do root for each other, and they care about each other. And you're seeing it. And, none of this is a substitute for talent. They've got a couple really good three-point shooters. They've got a great leader. They've got a center who's emerging as a legitimate high major player. They've got really good players on this team, and it's a good mix of talents and skills put together. And that's got as much to do with it as anything. But we've seen talented Pitt teams in the last 4 years. We've seen them get derailed by individual ambitions and goals and priorities that were put above the team goals and ambitions and priorities. And we saw how that went. There's a reason that this year is the first time in 7 years they've won 20 games. The first time in 7 years they've had a winning record, or avoided a losing record in ACC play. There's a reason that they've been on a 6-year drought with all these things. And some of it is chemistry. Some of it's talent. At different times, they've not been talented enough. I think that was the case last year. But even last year, I think there were some chemistry issues. For whatever reason and however he did it, Jeff Capel and his staff put together a team that fits. They fit together in their skill and in their personalities and their chemistry. And a lot of that credit goes to the seniors. A lot of that credit goes to Nelly Cummings and Greg Elliott and Jamarius Burton and Nike Sabandi. And Aiden Fish, former team manager who became a walk-on, and then this mid-season became a scholarship player. Jeff Capel said even he has developed a voice that's important in the room, that the other guys listen to and they respect. I think the seniors on this team have set a tone for how they want to play and who they want to be and how the team should operate. And it takes all however many guys, 12, 13, 14 guys. But I think the seniors really have set a tone. I think Jamarius Burton sets a tone. And this has been talked about a lot of times by Jeff Capel about Jamarius Burton and his leadership role this year. And how, last year he was trying to lead, but it just wasn't being heard. Nobody was respecting it. And as a result, he probably sort of gave up a little bit. If nobody's going to listen to me, why am I going to keep talking? Whereas this year it's being heard. It's not falling on deaf ears. Guys are listening. Guys are truly embracing what he's saying, and they're following him. And I think he has become an even stronger leader as a result of it. I think Nelly Cummings is a great leader for this team and brings a whole lot to the team, not just in terms of how he plays on the court, but in terms of his leadership. And I think Greg Elliott and Nike Sabandy are great examples for the team of how to be great teammates. You know, when Greg Elliott is telling Jeff Capel, you remember this story from a month or so ago, you know, after Nike Sabandy had a great first half, and Greg Elliott's telling Jeff Capel at halftime, hey, put Nike out there to start the half. And Nike Sabandy's saying, no, don't do that. You know, bring me in like you would normally bring me in as a rotation. They're great teammates. And all of this, and I think, you know, as we sometimes skirt around the issue or occasionally touch on the issue of what Pitt is going to be in the future, you know, how are they going to replicate this success and how are they going to do it again next year? You'd like to think that some of the other guys who are around this situation now, the guys who are going to be back, Federico and the Diaz-Graham twins and Dior Johnson especially, you'd like to think that they're absorbing everything they're seeing and they're taking it in, they're soaking it up and understanding not just the skills on the court that are leading to success this season, but the way the locker room is being run and the way it's being, you know, the way the team chemistry is not even the chemistry, but the way the team operates. And I don't mean from the coaches, but from the players, from the player leaders. You'd like to hope that those guys are taking all of that in and understanding it, and they can carry it on to next year. We always talk about how Jim Calhoun, you know, one of the things he praised about the Pitt program was linkage, how guys from year to year, the older guys passed it down to the younger guys, and it just went on and grew from there. And it created a real culture and something that Pitt built. Well, that, you know, there's a potential for that to happen here. That what Jamarius Burton and Nike Sabandy and Greg Elliott and Nelly Cummings have done this season can set sort of a mold and an example for the younger players to follow when they're the leaders on the team next year. Because they will be. I mean, you know, assuming, you know, they'll probably bring in a couple transfers, but you're going to be looking at, you know, Blake Hinson, but the Diaz-Graham twins, you know, to be leaders. You're going to look at Federico to be a leader on this team. And you'd like to think that they have absorbed some of those things, you know, some what they learned from those seniors. And so they'll get recognized tomorrow night at senior night before the game. Great opportunity to show some appreciation for the seasons that they've had and what they've done for this team and what they've ultimately done for this program. They've brought, you know, however temporary or permanent it may be, they've brought Pitt basketball back from the dead. I guess, you know, I stopped, you know, we had those conversations for so long about putting off saying Pitt is back and Pitt is back. I mean, they won 20 games. To me, when you win 20 games, you're at least back for now. You know, I don't know if the whole program is back, but this team is back, and they, you know, I think we can say that, and you know, we'll see if those younger players can carry that on the far more immediate nature. There is this game against Syracuse, and I think maybe the biggest thing to watch out for. And maybe the Georgia Tech game was a wake-up call in this regard. Maybe senior night will be a little bit of a jolt. We talked on the Panther-Lair show on Wednesday night about how it might be good for the team when they finally get to Greensboro. They get out of the grind of the regular season. They get into a different environment. It might put a little bit extra pep in their step, and they can kind of reignite some whatever energy they might have lost along the way of February. But maybe they'll get a little bit of that tomorrow night from the senior night festivities, and maybe just from some lessons learned from Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech, because there was a word that Nelly Cummings used to talk about Syracuse. Was it Nelly? It might have been Blake Hinson. I forget which one of those two guys said it, but they talked about being desperate, about facing desperate teams. And I think Virginia Tech was a desperate team, and I think Georgia Tech was a desperate team. And Syracuse is going to be a desperate team. The Orange are 9-8 in conference play right now. Where are they sitting overall? I just had it open. They're 16-12 overall. This is a team that's playing with some desperation. They just got their tails handed to them on Wednesday night by who was it? NC State, I think. Got crushed in that game on the road. And now they're going to come into this environment and it's going to be a tough environment. They're going to be a desperate team. I don't think they're just going to quit because they had a bad game on Wednesday night. I think they'll come back with even more fire and try to get, sort of right the ship against one of the top teams in the conference. And so Pitt's got to be ready for that. They experienced it with Virginia Tech. They experienced it with Georgia Tech. They have to be ready for it from Syracuse. Syracuse is going to come out and give Pitt everything they've got. And this was something I even talked about last week. Before the Virginia Tech game, I talked about this next challenge being, you're the hunted now. You're the team with the target on its back because you're at the top of the conference. And they went to Virginia Tech and they got Virginia Tech's best shot. Virginia Tech played its best game against Pitt and ended up coming out with a win. Georgia Tech was following suit before Pitt finally took control in the final 8 to 10 minutes or so and ended up winning that game by 8. Syracuse is going to give Pitt their best shot. And I think you have to expect that every game going forward. You're going to get Syracuse's best shot because Syracuse is a desperate team. You're going to get Notre Dame's best shot because it's Mike Bray's final game in South Bend. You're going to get Miami's best shot because the ACC regular season championship and the number 1 seed in the ACC tournament will likely be on the line. And beyond that, you're going to get everyone's best shot in every game you play because every game you play is going to be a one-and-done situation, an elimination game. After that Miami game, every game is an elimination game. So everyone's going to be desperate and everyone's going to give you their best shot, which means you better be ready for it. And you better have your own, ammunition loaded and give it your best shot. So Pitt's got that, I think to keep in mind. I have to think that the last couple of games, particularly the Georgia Tech game, I don't want to say a wake-up call. That sounds a little cliched, but these guys should know what's coming and know what they're going to face in terms of a team being motivated and a team being desperate. And I think it's up to the seniors to take this one over. Jamarius Burton, Nike Sabandi, Nelly Cummings, Greg Elliott should have huge games tomorrow night. This is what I expect them to do, and I think they will. And then I think Blake Hinson will get his as well, and we'll see this team improve to 21 wins. That's what I'm expecting, but we'll find out tomorrow night. All right, thanks for watching the Morning Pit this week. We appreciate it. We'll have lots to talk about, of course, next week. In the meantime, make sure you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com, and then head over to Panther-Lair.com, Pittsburgh.rivals.com. Most comprehensive source of Pitt sports news on the internet, football, basketball, and recruiting. You find it all at Panther-Lair.com and message boards to talk about Pitt sports with other Pitt fans. Panther-Lair.com, Pittsburgh.rivals.com. Thanks again for watching this week. Thanks for watching today. I hope you've had a great week. Yesterday was beautiful. Not sure today is going to be quite as nice, but hopefully you have a good Friday. And, just count down the hours until 5 o'clock tomorrow night when Pitt takes on Syracuse at the Peterson Event Center. Should be a blast. Can't wait. If you're there, you see me, say hello. And we'll definitely have a lot to talk about when we get back together on Monday morning. So, have a great Friday. Enjoy the game tomorrow. Enjoy your weekend. And we will talk to you on Monday for the Morning Pit right here on youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com.